You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hi, and thanks for coming back again to Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. I'm really enjoying doing this show right now, and it's sometimes logistically difficult, as I've said before. But I think I'm starting to feel that I'm so into this hike now that hopefully I'm transmitting my kind of joy at what's going on. There's a time that comes in your hike, and it happened to me before. I can't recall exactly when it was, but it happened to me before in 2014, where you suddenly think to yourself, man, I'm going well, I can do this. And that's hit me this last few days. Because we are absolutely flying at the moment, and we've hiked. It's hard for me to believe this. I've checked it three times in fact already to see if I'm right. In the last 8 days, Trigger and I have hiked 160 miles, which is averaging, as you can guess, 20 miles a day. I never ever did anything like that in 2014, but I'm just moving right now. In fact, it was when we'd had a 0 day when Trigger's wife came to visit and just hanging out in I can't even remember where it was now, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, I think it was. And she dropped us back at the trailhead at Pine Furnace Grove General Store, and we set off. And we knew we were feeling pretty good at the time, but this last 8 days, even though we've got off the trail once or twice, we haven't missed a day hiking. We've done a 26-mile day. We've done a 25-mile day, which you're going to hear today. Or 24-mile day. We've done several in the late teens and early 20, and nearly 20, I think it is. And it's added up to 160 miles in 8 days. And I'm so darn pleased. And I can put out another show today because we've decided we do need a rest after these 8 days. And we're going to be hit by, in fact, we have been hit already by a storm from the Atlantic today. In fact, I'm not sure, but you may have heard or may be able to hear during this recording some, some raindrops falling outside. So we're having a rest day today, which is it's a Monday. We are just going real well. But before we get on to what happened on the first day, which is... I'm losing track of my days now. It must have been Saturday. Let's hear from our sponsors, Sawyer. When I hit the trail in 2014, I soon discovered that I come with the wrong water filter. Everybody else had a Sawyer squeeze. Eventually, I bought a squeeze and I loved it. I'm going again this year, and top of my list of things to buy was the new micro squeeze filter by Sawyer. Like all Sawyer stuff, it just works. You can filter up to 100,000 gallons, and their full-size squeeze filter comes with a lifetime warranty. Last year, believe it or not, more than 4 million people got clean water through a Sawyer water filter. But if you think that Sawyer is just about water filters, you could not be more wrong. Nope, they supply everything to protect you, both in the backcountry and the backyard. Protect your gear and clothes as I did with their permethrin fabric treatment, which is 100% odorless after drying. With all the ticks and bugs around, this is an absolute must. They also provide sunscreens and first aid products. Find out more by visiting Sawyer.com. Thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it. So let's get on now with day number 103. Day 103. Port Clinton, mile 1219.4 to Eckville Shelter, mile 1234.4. A 15-mile day. We didn't fancy the breakfast in the microtel, so there was a Cracker Barrel just down the road, and we were obviously tempted by the barrage of calories that they could offer us, and so we headed down there. But we took with us a phone number for a shuttle driver the microtel kindly gave us, a guy called Steve. And he turned up and took us back to the trail, which is pretty darn nice. we had a flat road for about 400 yards out of Port Clinton. Then there was a real steep up, and I kind of recall it being steep, but it was also rocky. And rocky and steep is a tricky combination, I find. I really do. And there were some great sights on this day. We had the Pulpit Rock, where you stand on this, one of the best views, I think, of Pennsylvania. We had our photographs taken there, and a couple of guys came past, Napster and Smirk, and I think Trigger and I were eating some lunch by then, and they said, no, we're going to go on to the Pinnacle because it should be a lot quieter there, and we'll have our lunch there. Well, the Pinnacle's about 2.5 miles further on, and they could not have been more wrong. There was about 30 people on the Pinnacle, and they were sitting there eating their lunch, but they was absolutely jam-packed with people. It's a whole batch of rocks again, just sticking out, and you get access to them quite easily. And I heard, and we didn't see this, by the way, but somebody, as we were walking towards the Pinnacle, someone said, I've just taken a photograph of a rattler surrounded by 2 copperheads. And I thought to myself, well, firstly, I don't want to see that. That's sort of there on the rocks. But second, I kind of do want to see it. It'd be quite nice to see these rocks, these snakes, because my previous snake record in Pennsylvania from 2014 and from the miles so far, I had not seen a single snake, which is almost impossible. There are supposedly thousands of the things there, millions of them there. And I broke my previous snake record by, I saw 2 entwined black snakes getting frisky with one another up a tree. And actually, I heard it first. Suddenly we heard something fall, and I looked up, and these 2 huge, really long, 4 foot, maybe 5 foot long snakes entwined, and they'd been wriggling around with each other up this tree and knocked loose a piece of bark. So we drew, there are lots of day hikers around. We drew people's attention to these snakes. So that was 2 straight away. And then we were hiking down a path off the Pinnacle, and I turned around, and Trigger went, Steve. And I turned around, and he was pointing, and I just caught the last 1.5 foot of this rattlesnake, slithering slowly into the undergrowth. And we were trying to watch him through the undergrowth. And Trigger had never heard a rattlesnake rattle, so he nudged him with his pole. Not hard, just nudged him, and he rattled. I'll tell you what, that made us jump. And then we saw a garter snake. So there was 4 in probably no more than about 2 hours. So I'd broken my snake duck in Pennsylvania. We then got to the Aerobridge Shelter, and I got to be careful what I say here, because we were able to get a 30-can case of beers. I got them for $15, and they were these premium Yuengling. They were beautiful. I don't want to get anybody into trouble here. And then Trigger went off. The caretaker there offered to drive Trigger, because he was going to get some gas himself, drive Trigger to a nearby gas station to get some ice for the beers. So that worked out nicely. He went to get some ice, and a bunch of people turned up. And there was Smirk, Napster, and Merville. Then General Lee and his buddy Polly showed up, and then the Leech, and another girl called Mosey. So we had quite a few people there. We had one of those evenings. I bought these beers because I thought I'd be able to share them around for everybody. I didn't think we'd be able to drink all 30. Man, they went very quickly. And because we got a bucket, poured some water in, poured the ice in, the beers in. Within 10 minutes, they were lovely and cold. So we just sat around chatting. I think I had 3 or 4. Most people had 2 or 3 maybe. And it was very, very enjoyable. And right near the end, I'd noticed people were quite restrained in just helping themselves. And basically, I just said to people, have another beer, have another beer. And there was a young guy called Polly, and he was probably underage, I'm only guessing. But, on the trail, people do things they don't perhaps do in real life. And he'd had 1 beer, and I saw there was only 1 beer left. I know he'd only had 1, and his buddy, General Lee, had had a couple. So I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, get a beer, like that. Right? He just got up off the chair, went over to pick the beer out of the ice water and came back and handed it to me. I said, not for me, you idiot, for you. But that was such a sweet thing for him to do. He was so polite. He was just, I'd asked him for a beer, he went to get it for me. And it's just a selfless thing. And obviously he was pleased he had it. So it was one of those nights that was thoroughly enjoyable. It was a great day again. Trigger and I, as I said, we're getting these miles in. I know it's only 15 miles, but frankly, that was a good enough start because, we've done a lot of miles recently. And there was a great end to the day, and we were all able to tent across the road in this beautifully mown field, and Trigger and I were set up on tent pads, and frankly, it could not have been a nicer spot to go and camp. But that is the end of day number 103. Day 104, Aerobridge Shelter, mile 1234.4 to Lehigh River South Bank, mile 1259.1, a 24.7 mile day. Trigger and I breakfasted early. There's a lovely little picnic table in the camping site that we were in, or the tent sites we were in, and we had quite the little tented village. There must have been 10 tents around after our few beers session the previous night, and it was it was a very lovely morning to wake up as well. And we got started around about 7:10 in the morning with the Bake Oven Knob Shelter as the likely target at about 17 miles. We really wanted to see how the rocks were treating us, because if you look at the profile of Pennsylvania, it looks the easiest place to hike, and it really does. But really, the profile is defined by how many rocks there are. There are times when you find yourself, you come around a little corner in the path, and there's just a pile of boulders, and that pile of boulders often goes on for a quarter of a mile, and you're scrambling you're jumping effectively from one rock to another rock, and looking for either the white blazes on the trees that poke out of the rocks every now and then, or just the white blazes on the rocks themselves. It does slow you down, but I must admit, I was really dreading Pennsylvania because of the difficulty of the rocks. But yeah, they're difficult, but man, are they a lot of fun. I'm only saying this, of course, from the perspective of the fact that I wish I hadn't said that straight away. That I haven't fallen in Pennsylvania so far. I've got 2 more days of hiking Pennsylvania to go, by the way. I haven't fallen in Pennsylvania so far, and I'm really enjoying the rocks. They smash your feet up quite a bit, and they make your feet very sort of tender and very sore at the end of the day. But my new boots are holding up pretty well and protecting me from a lot of the ferocity of some of these rocks. Once again, how people do this with trail runners, I just have no idea. I'm so glad I've got my boots. I feel the security of the ankle support. So really, while the profile looks easy, it is nowhere near as easy as it looks. So you've got to be very careful with it. I saw yet another snake. It was a very early garter snake, so probably about, 7:30, 7:45. So having gone from 0 snakes in 2014 in Pennsylvania, I've now seen 5 in 24 hours, which I think is a pretty good record so far. We hiked on, doing pretty well. We came to PA 309, and we could see the path you go straight across the road. There's a path ahead of you. There was somebody left some water there and some ramen noodles. I think it was actually one of our listeners. I won't say who it is because I'm not sure it was from them. But then another couple we saw beckoned us over into the car park, which was 20 or 30 yards to the left. We went into the car park. They had beers, Yingling beers, which is great. And they also had popsicles with ice cream inside them, which was even better. So we were chatting because this couple, they were a guy called Sampson, who was a 2005 thru hiker, and his girlfriend MK, Mary Kathleen, and we just chatted with them. It was very nice. I could tell straight away that Sampson was somebody I wanted to record. So we exchanged. Well, I took their details. I'm going to called them after the show to have a proper interview. Sorry, not after the show, after the hike, to have a proper interview with Samson. And when I get back to my normal interviews back on the show, it's quite interesting to discuss with him how different it was in 2005 to what hiking is like now. And he was talking even about water filters and the size of the water filter he had to carry. So I think it'd be a really interesting interview. And she was lovely as well. So we thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with them. We actually stayed there for about half hour, and then young General Lee turned up, and he sunk a couple of Yinglings and a popsicle as well. We then went on, and we knew that probably the highlight of the day was going to be the Knife's Edge. And the Knife's Edge is a whole bunch of rocks where you walk along the top, literally, I guess, at the Knife's Edge. There are big angles on the sides, so it looks like it's sharper than it really is. And frankly, I found it quite straightforward. I recalled it last time. I recall falling. I think I fell 2 or 3 times on the Knife's Edge last time, but this time not at all. And both Trigger and I just took our time, and I think that's important. You take your time. You don't just jump ahead regardless. You've got to look at what's in front of you and see how tough it really is. And so we were careful with it, and we got to the end. It doesn't last for terribly long. I don't know, 200 yards, maybe 300 yards. I'm not quite sure. And then suddenly we were climbing down again, and that was the Knife's Edge done. There were more boulders ahead, more boulder fields ahead, but we had a lovely mixture yesterday of doing the boulder fields. Then there was some quite good, just earthy paths. And of course, there was the Knife's Edge as well. So I really actually enjoyed the day. And so we got to Baked Oven Knob Shelter, and it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, I think it was. And General Lee was there, and Mervell, and another guy was another listener. And I think his name was Brian. He recognised me by either my face or my voice, I think, which was nice. And we just sat around and chatted, and Trigger went down to get some water. It seemed to be quite a long path down there, so I was glad I could avoid that one. And so it was only 3:30, so we decided to just sit and rest and see how we felt. We both took our shoes off. It does really, really help you, I tell you, taking your shoes off for a little while, just hanging out. So we then decided that we were going to go onto the Aerobridge Shelter, which is only about half a mile short of the Lehigh River. We knew there was rain coming on Monday, so we thought to ourselves, why don't we go to the Aerobridge Shelter and then a quick half mile down the hill on Monday morning, and then we can which is virtually a zero, stay Monday and not hike because of the rain. And I'm not sure if you can hear right now, it's raining right outside my hotel window, and it's pouring, in fact. So I'm glad we missed hiking today, because the big hike was going to be up from the Lehigh River. I mean, it's not long, but it's a real boulder scramble. And obviously, I'll tell you about that when I do it, obviously, on Tuesday morning. But we decided to go to the Aerobridge Shelter, and we set out, and I'd put some of that, I don't know if you know it, this stuff called Mio. It's an energy sort of thing with electrolytes. You pour into or you squeeze into your water, and it turns it into some sort of various flavoured stuff. One of them is iced mocha coffee with some caffeine in it. And I'd forgotten I'd already done 2 of those today, on this particular day rather. I'll tell you what, firstly I was flying. I really felt the caffeine kicking in. I don't know if I was anxious, agitated, I guess. And I thought, this is not a good feeling. So I slowed down drinking it, but it didn't slow me down hiking. I just carried on hiking. I was really moving. So as we were going along, I was thinking as well. I turned around the Trigger. I said, why don't we just not worry about staying at the Aerobridge Shelter and carry on and go all the way into Lehigh, and then find ourselves a hotel? It'd be easy to find a hotel. Won't be any problem at all. So he said, yeah, sure. He was always up for that. So we were going to decide to get a hotel on that Sunday night, and then stay on Monday and have a complete day off and stay on Monday night and then have a complete day off on that Monday. So we said, that's what we're going to do. So what turned out was intended to be a 17-mile day turned out to be a 24-mile day. We got down the bottom. We bumped into MK and Samson again. They've been doing a hike, so they had 2 cars. They were going from one place to another, and chatted with them for a while. And then I got on to booking a place to stay. And frankly, it was a nightmare because there aren't that many hotels around here. And I was looking for a deal. Obviously, you're always looking for a deal. And I found one by Groupon. Oh, do you know what? I can't even go into it. It was so frustrating. Both Trigger and I had to join Groupon. I was able to book mine. He wasn't able to book his, blah, 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 blah. But it turned out we ended up in a Best Western in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes away from where we needed to be. So it wasn't a great idea, but we're in this decent place, Best Western. It's quite comfortable. It's got its own restaurant, so we don't have to move any distance. So, there we are. And that is the end of day number 104. Day number 105, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a 0 day. Oh dear. Getting to Bethlehem was such a mess last night. But now we're here, we might as well enjoy it. And frankly, I slept until nearly 7 o'clock this morning, which is the latest I think I've woken up on this entire trip. I think I was just exhausted, and we really have gone well in these last few days. 160 miles, as I say, in 8 straight days of hiking. So we did need that rest, obviously. And it is surprising how much your feet recover and how much your soul or your enthusiasm is recovered by just having a day off every now and then. I actually saw on Facebook this morning a discussion on how many 0 days one should take. And literally, there were, of course, the normal stupid responses, but literally, it should be the number of 0 days you think you need. Now, once you're ready to stop. Don't go on. And one of the great things about hiking with Trigger, he and I both feel the pain quite regularly. We also plan a lot of things, and we have planned a lot of things around when we, for example, he had a day off recently because his wife came to visit. I want a day off this Sunday coming because I want to watch the last round of the US Open Golf Tournament, and he will fit in with that, and I will fit in with his requirements as well. It works out pretty well that way. But we really needed this rest, and as I say, I slept until 7 o'clock. And Trigger texted me about 7 and said, breakfast? So I said, I've just woken up. I'll come down. I'll come down about 8. So I go down about 20 past 8, actually, because took a long time getting ready, and Trigger was sitting there. And I thought to myself, oh, well, he must have come down at 8 o'clock. It turns out he'd been eating since 7 o'clock. He'd eaten literally everything that was there for breakfast. And he was just searching for more things he could try to find. His grazing, which is what he does basically, is phenomenal. He can, I mean, I've got hiker hunger and I can eat virtually anything. He can literally eat anything right now. And this is the way in which we're, the two of us, 2 old guys, we're burning up a lot of calories, and you need to put those calories back in to replenish. And he's doing it as much as he possibly can. I took the chance when I got back to the room to, because I just had a pretty good plate of breakfast myself, to be honest with you. I took a coffee back to the room, and I was lucky enough to watch a replay of the Canadian Grand Prix, which I wanted to watch, which was on Sunday, and this is now Monday. I'm talking about, which is day number 105. And I've just been in my room ever since and trying to put this podcast together. As I say, it's raining outside right now, and we've had quite a considerable amount of rain. So with really not much to report, or nothing really to report in terms of any progress we made on this day, I thought we'd catch up with how Trigger thinks the hike is going so far. We've talked to him once when he told us about doing a long day. This was back at Dragon's Tooth I spoke to him. No, it was back at the Audie Murphy Monument. I spoke to him about how he left something behind, then he walked past his pack on the way back, and now he walked about 7 miles longer than the rest of us that day. But this is really, I'm going to have an interview with Trigger on how he thinks the whole hike is going so far and what he's looking forward to going forward. So let's hear from Trigger. I'm sitting here with Trigger. We're trying to work out We're trying to work out how the hike's going so far. So, how's your body coping with the trail so far?
As a whole, fairly well. The past couple of days were kind of rough, especially the last one for me.
Why?
Rocks.
Because of the rocks.
Because the rocks.
And yet we did a lot of miles, and you never seem to say no to going on, do you? You're quite happy to go on virtually every day.
I'll trudge on as long as you stay off of the juice. You stay off.
Whoa. You need to explain what you mean by that.
You stay off that caffeine buzz that you take, that Mio caffeine. I can't keep up with in the afternoon.
It's rocket. I say it's rocket fuel.
It must be.
There's no doubt about it. So it's your feet that's hurting most of all, is it?
Yep, most of all it is. I was just getting ready to pay attention to them and put some lotion on them.
Okay, cool. So what about your gear? Is that holding up well? And would you make any changes? Have you made any changes to your gear? I know you've had new shoes a few times.
New shoes. The gear is great. What I have is good. I love my tent. I switch out to a 30-degree bag, and that's working well.
What's your tent?
It's the duplex.
The duplex, yeah. Of course, same as me.
Z-Pack duplex,
yeah.
Yes.
And because of you, actually, I've ordered the flex kit as well, because I love the idea you can make it freestanding. It works really well. And what's your sleeping bag?
It's a Cedar Summit, 30-degree. It's a quilt.
And you've had that from the start?
No, I sent my 10-degree back home.
All right, okay. And do you feel the difference?
Oh, yes, it's a whole lot lighter.
Much more comfortable, isn't it?
Much more comfortable.
Yeah, 30 degrees. I think it's 30 degrees a good number, actually, as well. And can you, and I know you did some preparation for this, as I told you, I didn't actually pack my bag until the day I left, so I really wasn't prepared, and as I never am prepared. Can you think of any mistakes you may have made in your preparation, or are you pretty happy with how you prepared?
I should have listened to a lot of people. A lot of people said go out there and go backpacking for a week.
All right. Why? Why do you think you should have done that? Because if you'd done that, you might not have come.
That's true also, but maybe. Because all I did was treadmill work and work at the gym.
Yeah.
You know, if I was doing the actual spending the night out in a tent and cooking my breakfast, cooking my lunch and dinners, I might have packed differently.
Do you think it would have helped you much? Because my feeling has always been you can't prepare for this. It's just everything smacks you around the face and you have to do it.
A week is not.
The air conditioning just go on. It's okay.
A week is not long enough, but you do what you can with what you have.
That's right. Absolutely, yeah. And you told somebody yesterday that you want to finish the trail with me because you're convinced that I'm going to make it all the way to Qatar.
I do.
Well, why do you think that?
Because you've done it before, and I know that you're going to finish this time.
I appreciate your confidence in me, but you just said the barring bit.
Barring any injuries.
Yeah, let's keep up.
We need that luck.
Now we both discovered that, haven't we? You need luck to be able to do this well.
Yeah, because anything can happen any time of the day, anytime.
Absolutely,
you just got to be careful.
And what's been your biggest motivation to keep you on the trail? So I know you've had some doubts from time to time.
Biggest motivation for me is 14 grandchildren. Because I don't want to let them down.
Oh man!
And there's a lot of people.
That's pressure.
Rooting for me at home.
And you told me also they doubted you, didn't they?
Sure.
In fact, they all doubted you.
Very, yeah. People very skeptical. You know, like surely you can't do this. You're not really serious about doing this, are you?
I would think about 1,250 miles in. We haven't done too bad, so
we've done very well. 155 miles in the last 8 days.
Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. And what are you most looking forward to on your return to Louisville? Louisville. Yeah. Returning to Kentucky. What are you most? Is it seeing the grandchildren? Obviously seeing your wife, but seeing and just basking in the glory of it. What are you looking forward to?
I'm not really basking in the glory. I'm worried about people say it changes you, and I'm looking curious and anxious to see how it's going to change me when I get home.
All right, interesting.
And I'm worried about my diet. I hope I don't keep eating like I am at breakfast this morning.
I have made reference to your breakfast this morning already.
I ate for about 2.5 hours this morning. I ate everything that they had out there once or twice.
That was the most amazing thing, I tell you. And lastly, do you think you're ever going to do anything like this again, or is it one and done for you?
Probably right as we speak. Probably one and done, unless by some chance I'm able to go to Spain.
And you do fancy the Camino, don't you?
I would do a short version of it. I wouldn't do the 1,000 kilometers.
Oh, right, I see. So just a shorter version. But you're glad you're here, aren't you?
Oh, yes, yes.
It's been a blast. I mean, we've just had such a great time, I think, and I think you've really helped my hike, and hopefully I've helped yours as well. And I think we both motivated each other to do well on this, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Cool. Well, thanks for that, Trigger. And that's Trigger's update is where he is. He will not stop eating, by the way. Thank you. So there you are. We're zeroing today, and but we've got some quite good plans coming up. We're going to do about the way in which we've tried to work this. And I say lots of people have written to me wanting to either hike or just entertain us, and I'm not so much reticent, but I'm making sure we continue to keep the integrity within our hike. Hopefully, if that makes any sense. And a chap called Phil McGee and his wife Kate have invited us, once we get to Delaware Water Gap, to host us. And that's 2 days away from here. So we've decided we've got about 36 miles to Delaware Water Gap. We're hopefully going to stealth camp at around 18 miles after the rock scramble up from Lehigh River tomorrow. And then we're going to do another 18 on Wednesday into Delaware Water Gap, where we're going to be met by Phil. And he's going to put us up in his house overnight, and we're going to do our laundry and stuff. And I've actually been, I'm delighted I've been invited to phone into Gary Sizer's Stories from the Trail podcast, and hopefully I'll be on that on Wednesday night as well. I've told Phil that, so he's going to put me up in a quiet space just so I can speak to Gary. So that should be fun. So we're just going well. And I'll keep saying it, but I feel... I know from, I'll step back a sec. When I was at the Aerobridge Shelter, the caretaker there gave me, so I told him I was there in 2014, he gave me the registration book where people sign. I found my own name, and I was at the Aerobridge Shelter 5 years ago on the 13th of July, 2014. And so, I was nearly 4 months into my hike, I think, by then. And now I'm only 3.5 months into my hike. So I'm definitely ahead of the schedule I was on. And I can tell you, I'm definitely moving faster than I was even just a few weeks ago. So I'm quite confident now I'm going to be undone by this by making a mistake or something, I guess. But I'm quite confident we're going to finish this a whole lot earlier than I expected us to finish it. And we're just going so darn well. And really, previously, and Trigger and I were both aware, and we were very happy to be. We were hiking Cushie's hike. She was our logistical person. She said, well, let's do this. So we were happy to go along with it. And we were very happy with going on with it. She's now ahead of us with Dodger Dog. I think she's 2 days ahead of us. I don't know how we missed her, but we seem to have missed her somehow. So now Trigger and I are hiking our own hikes, and we're enjoying hiking our own hikes. Each one pushes the other one on, and I'm very glad that we're hiking together. And so we've got this break with Phil and his wife on Wednesday, but then we're going to be out of Pennsylvania and into New Jersey. Can you believe it? We're still moving forward, and we're going to get there. I'll see you next time.